Hi there, I'm Angela and this is Friday Sews. Hi everyone, happy Friday. Welcome to the channel or welcome back. And this is another episode of Friday Sews where we talk about how our previous week went in the sewing room and in life in general. I always think of it as a way to kind of just like wind down from what might have been a chaotic week or busy, and kind of just ease our way into the weekend. So I'm so glad that you guys are here. Special thank you to Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room, who's the creator of the hashtag Friday Sews. And special thank you to all of you guys who are able to join in on the live chat. I don't do every Friday Sews as a live chat premiere video, but I try to when I can, and it's always a lot of fun when we can all hang out in the chat box together chatting in real time. So I appreciate those of you guys who are able to make it, and really any of you guys who are watching my video, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I do have some updates for you guys, both in sewing and in other parts of life. So I've made, we'll talk about sewing first. Oh, wait a minute. No, back up. I have a little bit of housekeeping. On my last Friday Sews, I did not have a featured channel. So one of the things that I like to do on my Friday Sews is feature another sewing YouTuber. Maybe someone who's a little bit newer into like the YouTube community, so they might not have that many videos out yet. So I like to find those channels, like the newer channels, and kind of feature one of them each week on my Friday Sews. It puts a little bit more of a spotlight on them. Maybe it will help them gain some viewers or introduce them to those of you who might not know about them yet. So I did not have a featured channel last time because I just had been so busy that week that I hadn't had a chance to kind of choose one and put together like a summary or what have you. So I did ask for some recommendations from you guys, and you guys were awesome. You pulled through and gave me a couple of great channels that I could feature. And today I do have a featured channel, which I always put that kind of like segment towards the end of the video. So we'll get to that here in just a little bit. So with that out of the way, let's talk about sewing. I am in the middle of a collaboration with Michelle from Michelle Sews Again. We're making a top together, the same top, and we're each using a purple fabric or maybe a purple print, just some kind of a print where the color scheme is mostly purple. And that is to kind of honor or raise awareness for Alzheimer's, which is September is the month when that takes place. So we will be doing the reveal of our tops in September, and I'll give more details about that as it gets a little bit closer. I have showed you guys the purple fabric that I'm using like many times, and I'm made really good headway on it. You can see there that's one of the arm size, and I have pins all in it because I've got the bias tape. I used a self-made bias tape out of the same black fabric that the yoke is lined with. So it's just a black polyester thin lining, your standard kind of thing. So I'm making good progress on that. I've already like kind of dry fitted it. It looks great. We're doing the Rhapsody top, in case you missed that in a previous video. This will be my first time making this top, and it has gotten so many good reviews on YouTube and just online in general. And I'm pretty sure that probably a lot of you guys have already made this top at least once. And now that I've kind of like test fitted it, I can see why it fits really, really well. It's comfortable. So I cannot wait to share that with you guys once it's complete. So stay tuned for more details on that. Michelle and I have like a certain day where we're going to upload our reveal video. So that'll be coming in early September. So keep your eyes out for that. And that's pretty much all that I got done in the sewing room. And in life, it was pretty busy. Let's see what happened. Well, a lot of things went on this past week. Last weekend, I took a trip to my hometown along with my husband to visit my family. My niece and nephew, who are 11 and 14, think I got that right. They're studying music. So periodically the school where they're studying puts on concerts, like rock concerts. So they get up on stage with all their peers that they're studying with and play like rock songs that they've been practicing. And they always do such a fantastic job. And I tell you, that takes a lot of guts to get up there and do that, just to get on stage in front of an audience and play music. So they always really crush it, as they did this past time too. And each time that they do a concert, it kind of has a theme. Like one of the recent concerts was called Space Rock, I think Space Rock. And so all of the songs that they played had to do like in some way related to outer space, like Starman. There were a few other songs. I can't remember them off the top of my head. What this past weekend's concert theme was Y2K pop. So they played it was somewhere between 10 and 15 songs that were like pop hits around the time of Y2K. So I think like a lot of the kids that were playing, like all of them, none of them had been even born then. So they had to learn songs that maybe they've heard growing up on the radio here and there, but certainly not the ones that their generation is currently into. So it's kind of fun to know that they're getting introduced to like older music that we might have listened to. So they did a great job, and it was really fun to watch them play. And what else? I made some homemade pasta sauce with homegrown tomatoes from the garden. It was a new recipe, and it turned out like fantastic. It was a recipe that I found online, so I'll put a link to that below just in case you're interested. And you don't have to be like a gardener growing tomatoes to make the recipe. You can just buy tomatoes like the farmer's market if you wanted to make the recipe. You probably could even use like canned tomatoes, like peeled diced tomatoes. So the seasonings were really good, and we ate that with pasta. And then also for one of the meals that I used it for, I just put it over some boiled, let me back up. So one of like kind of my staple things in my diet is potatoes. And the way that I prepare them is that and usually I'll use yellow potatoes because they're like softer consistency or a texture and the thinner skin. So I dice them into maybe 1/2 inch to 1 inch cubes, and then I just put them in my Instant Pot for anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes, and so that they're nice and tender when they're done. And I just do that with plain potatoes, no seasonings, no sauces, just the potatoes in like a wire basket with a handle that goes into my Instant Pot insert. So the potatoes, when they're in the Instant Pot cooking, they're not sitting in water. That basket kind of lifts them up off the water. So then what I'm left with after the Instant Pot is finished is just like a big batch of plain steamed potatoes that are very tender, and I put them in the fridge, and I make like a pretty good container at one time and store them like in a Tupperware type of thing or Gladware. And then I have those potatoes ready to go that I use as a base for adding things to it. So sometimes I'll add like cabbage to the potatoes and have like cabbage and potatoes with some kind of like Worcestershire sauce or what have you. Sometimes I'll put pasta sauce on the potato. Like I use the potatoes in all kinds of ways, and it's just nice to have them like ready to go. And I do the same thing with the cabbage too, because cabbage is like one of my very staple foods. So anyway, I used some of the homemade pasta sauce on my potatoes and put a few green olives in there, and just a little bit of Parmesan. I try to stay away from cheese. Every now and then I'll eat a little bit of Parmesan, and it was so good. So I'll put a link to the sauce below in case you're interested. And yeah, what else? So I didn't get like a big batch of tomato sauce, and it always kind of like blows my mind how you start with like a dozen tomatoes or maybe 2 dozen tomatoes, and by the time you finish processing them, you're not really like left with very much sauce. It's amazing how it all kind of cooks down, and you're like, whoa, what happened to all my tomatoes? Because the amount of sauce that you get, or pasta sauce or tomato sauce, doesn't really equal like the number of tomatoes that you started with. So I didn't really have too much left over after. It made enough for my husband and I to each have a couple of meals with the sauce, but then it was gone. Yeah, and another couple more things to update you guys on. I have started going back to the gym, not religiously, but my goal is to go 2 times a week for strength training, because I know when I'm doing that, I just feel better physically, mentally. Like I just feel more clear-minded, more energetic, stronger, of course. So I'm really trying to get back to a consistent schedule with that. And so far it's going pretty well, I would say. And I put like a low bar for myself. Like there were periods in my life, even in the last 5 to 7 years, where I was in the gym 4 days a week doing strength training, and that's really a lot. And I'm not saying it's not worth it, because it sure is, but it's demanding on your time and like effort, and it's a hard schedule to keep up, especially as I'm like getting older in my life. So I kind of gave myself a realistic goal to shoot for. So if I just go 2 times a week for strength training, and then the other days of the week, if I can just do a brisk walk for 15 to 30 minutes. Thought that seems pretty reasonable and should make a difference. So that's what I'm shooting for. And yeah. Then the other big thing that happened this week was that my car needed some repairs, and took it to the dealer where I usually take it. The car is like 9 years old, but I have an extended warranty, so I still take it to the dealer, and that warranty like has long ago paid for itself, so it's very handy. But the issue that I was having this time was to do with the exhaust system, which is not covered by the warranty, unfortunately. So the dealers, the technicians looked at it, and they told me, gave me an estimate of the things that were wrong with the exhaust system, to the tune of like $5,000. So that was like a shock. My husband and I were just shocked. So we picked the car up, and I told the service guy that I would have to think about it. It's not like we just have that laying around to make this repair. Plus, with a repair of that size, I really wanted to get a second opinion. So I took it to another place that's not a dealer. They're just like a car repair shop. And they're just close to us. I never had used them, and I really didn't have any recommendations. So I just kind of went by their Google reviews, their online reviews. Gave them a call. They sounded very nice. Yeah, sure, bring it on in. So I took it in that same day. They took a look at it and told me that what was wrong that was causing that really awful noise when I would like run the engine and rev the engine and rattling from underneath. All it was there was 4 bolts, just 4 bolts that had rusted out onto, I guess, the underside of where the exhaust system goes into the engine. I don't know much about cars, but it made sense to my husband. He is pretty knowledgeable about cars. So they said that that's all it needed, and because it had rusted out, there apparently are like phalanges around in that area on the car, that those were just kind of like flapping open, and because of that, that's what was causing like that horrible loud high-pitched noise when I would like run the engine, and that's also what was causing the rattling. $313. So I told them, sure, go ahead and make the repair by all means. They got it done within 2 hours. I came back to get the car, and it's fine. It's running fine, no rattling, no high-pitched revving engine noise. My mind was blown. So I'm like telling all my friends and family about this, not to bash the dealer what they gave us that high estimate of work extensive work that probably did not need to be done, that maybe they were upselling me on. I'm not sure. I don't want to, you know, accuse anybody of anything, but all I know is that the problem seems to be fixed for $300 versus a lot more extensive work for $5,000. So my whole point in telling like you guys or my mom is that if you get like a really high estimate like that, sometimes, usually, it's worth it to get a second opinion. Was kind of like my takeaway from this whole scenario, because when the dealer told me $5,000, I mean, I have to say, I was kind of like internally freaking out. I'm like, how are we gonna swing that? So I was thankful that we took it somewhere else. And now that place where we took it, that repair shop, they're pretty much gonna have like a customer for life, I think. I was so pleased with their honesty and not trying to like overdo it just to make more money. I don't know, you know, I don't really know what was going on and why the dealer did that. So anyway, so I'm not really trying to bash them or anything. Maybe it did need some more extensive work, and I'll find out later. I don't know. All I know is it's worth it to get a second opinion when you're talking about that much money. So enough about that. So that was kind of how my week went. Yeah, and so next, let's get on to the featured channel. So this week's featured channel is 85th and Wade. You guys probably have seen her videos. She's been putting videos on YouTube maybe for around 6 months now. Her name is V, and I think she has somewhere like 25 or 30 videos. And I really love watching her videos because for a couple of reasons. She seems very relatable, so I love just watching her videos. I feel like I can relate to her, and she's got a very pleasant way of putting her videos together, which is always nice to listen to, so that's good. And so it's like a very lovely style, which I can appreciate. And then her most recent video she did showed her June and July makes. And you guys are going to be like flabbergasted at how much she got done. And I feel like I'm just over here kind of piddling along, getting 1 or 2 things made, barely. And she's like produced all these gorgeous outfits. So go take a look at her channel. Of course, I'll put a link below. And just incidentally, I'm going to be participating later in October in a collaboration that she's putting together, a challenge. So look for that to come. Will be anyone who's going to participate in the challenge will be talking more about that as the time comes. And one thing too I wanted to point out that she mentioned on one of her videos, I can't remember which video, but I remember hearing her say that she used to do screen printing. She's into like many different types of like handicrafts, creative efforts, and she did used to be an avid screen printer. And then only recently, from what I've gathered, in the past couple of years, she's come into sewing, or maybe come back to it. So sewing has become like her new creative pursuit. So go give her channel a look if you haven't already. And I think that is about it. I want to thank you guys again for watching. I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope you get some sewing time in. And I guess that's about it. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.